Video 41, are we managing the world situation using personal development programs? The gateway to success, the gateway to the stars. Where do you want to go next? What are we expected to be realizing with our higher intelligence? Why is it not the same as our normal intelligence? Was it not the final command of the government in 1984 that people should not believe what they see or hear for themselves, only that which they're told by the Department of Truth? Yet, how can people in government be so divorced from reality that they cannot see the wood from the trees? Perhaps people should be learning to see what is happening inside government instead, and this has become a big trend in recent years. It is true that most people are learning to see the whole, given encounters with other cultures, but then there is the issue of the way the governments are managing the situation. It seems the idea is roughly that we have taken over the planet and are now looking out into space. This seems to implying that we're developing as a species, but this is really the whole problem with the Anthropocene, in the sense that it is just a case of governments producing more of the same type of societies that we had through the Holocene. Through educating people in different places how to understand the way that the ideas process has developed from their point of view, rather than use actual creativity to produce new ideas which are unique in their time. Hence, many governments and organizations, such as businesses, have personal development programs, job shadowing and mentoring designed to enable the flow of personnel upwards and the whole system to function in its own way, which is being criticized for being prejudiced, discriminatory, subjective, and only letting particular types of people through, which is seen as beneficial to the people who are higher up, not the needs of the organization or the needs of humanity in general. Some contain their own self-regulation aspect, while others are more extreme and do not. I've noticed one that does, which from a declassified CIA file entitled The Gateway Experience, a program developed by Robert Monroe at the Monroe Institute that focuses on exploring human consciousness through sound technology, specifically binaural beats. Similar programs around the world often aim to enhance personal growth, meditation, and alternate states of consciousness using various techniques and technologies. This is from the monroeinstitute.org overview of the Gateway Experience. This program aims to enhance personal growth, meditation, and altered states of consciousness. Participants engage in audio exercises designed to facilitate specific expanded states of awareness. Key features of the Gateway Experience. Sound technology utilizes binaural beats to synchronize brain hemispheres. Consciousness exploration focuses on out-of-body experiences and other altered states. Personal growth aims to provide insights into self-awareness and life purpose. There are similar programs worldwide. Many programs around the globe share similar goals of exploring consciousness and enhancing personal development. Below are some notable examples. The holotropic breathwork for emotional healing and self-discovery, breathwork, music, and group support. Transcendental meditation uses stress reduction and personal growth, and mantra meditation. Mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR, uses mindfulness, meditation, and yoga for stress and anxiety management. The Monroe Institute's other programs include advanced consciousness training and uses various sound technologies, and this goes with the colors of sound which are available on YouTube. There's all sorts of frequency programs which focus on different levels of the body and help to heal that sort of area. I've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 chakra meditation frequency, which goes up the vibrational levels and helps me to identify if I have a blockage or a problem on any particular level. And this goes along with systems like the Kabbalistic tree of life, which enables you to relate different levels of your body to different, what you would call different levels of consciousness, but actually it's all interconnected. And it's really about how the bodily systems have evolved over time, which has created one level after the next. And finally, the human brain has grown to represent that sort of level of evolution. So it's about understanding how we've become what we are in a total sense. And that helps to, well, firstly, it helps to realize our capabilities. And then secondly, it enables us to relate those capabilities to what we can do in the world around us. So it's just really a kind of self-awareness program, and all abilities can be developed from that kind of central hub. And this is why organizations are big on using these, because they need to develop particular types of people to fulfill certain roles. So the benefits of these programs, it says here, enhance self-awareness. Participants often report greater understanding of themselves and their life paths. Stress reduction. Many programs help reduce anxiety and promote relaxation. Community support. Group settings provide a supportive environment for exploration and growth. So I personally found that, like Agent May says in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., certain emotions will take over if you let them. It helps to gain confidence by improving the ability to understand what's actually happening if we're triggered by doubt or fear or a situation or other people, and to be able to compensate for that using simple bodily functions, which would be really just to lean in the other direction and consider an alternative future, and to calculate what kind of resolution or outcome that we could achieve if somebody's being confrontational. It's not just a case of reacting, it's a case of being able to interpret, and sometimes you need to do that very quickly. This is why this method is used by the police force and by military contractors all over the world. Conclusion: the Gateway and similar programs offer a unique approach to exploring consciousness and personal development through various techniques. Participants can gain insights, reduce stress, and enhance their overall well-being. It's a universal method, and all people can learn to reach an expanded worldview, learn how to detect and correct personal imbalances. So that would even include neck pain or just any kind of diagnosis. And in this way, the brain can be used to heal the body, but we have to learn to use it as a tool for the purposes which we're focusing on. Too many people, I think, are trying to learn to use themselves like a weapon or something that's going to cause damage to themselves. So we can also do self-healing, and generally this is exactly what I've been talking about when I say that we can effectively secure the shift to an objective perspective through learning. It does not mention how people can classify events, though, these programs, not yet anyway, about how we can classify events within the new framework of periods which include the Anthropocene and the recent subclassification of the periods of the Holocene, like I was talking about the Greenlandian, North Grippian and Megadean. And it can seem like a very big task actually getting everything to make sense in terms of these actual periods, when perhaps life in your neighborhood or business or country doesn't make sense in terms of these periods. You will find that actually eventually you will be able to see it in the context of those periods without isolating it from the way that events are happening in a natural way around you. So on further research, I found various other programs like the SPEAR program, which claims to be one of the UK's most effective youth employment programs. And it starts with mindset. Over 4 to 6 weeks, they coach young people aged 16 to 24 to recognise their strengths and see what's possible. Grit is a charity developing intensive personal development and coaching programs for young people and the adults that support them. They work in education, communities, and with professional teams. Trickbox is a simple, fun, and effective school whole journey emotional management, and personal development program supporting children and young people from ages 3 to 18 and their families, evidence-based, inclusive, and developing mental well-being. The Realise personal development program complements technical skills, training, and enhancing areas such as communication and problem solving. These so-called soft skills are vital for success as the working environment is constantly evolving. Groundwork personal development program claims that it can be truly life-changing. Take a group of young people, give them a series of challenges, teach them new skills, and watch the teamwork grow and individuals blossom in just a few weeks. So the development focuses on the quality of the leader's thinking, creativity, deeper self-awareness in the moment, ultimately developing advanced level professional impact skills, personal resilience, and better relating within complex and critical situations. But ultimately, what I think we need to question what people are actually learning, because these types of individual skills, teamwork, problem solving, and leadership, can be used for anything, including creating a far-right terrorist organization or a religious fundamentalist organization. Self-development without proper self-discipline or focus on self-awareness means it can and has been used for whatever governments tell people what to do. Many of these people are being trained for use in projects which demand an abuse of power and sign disclaimers. Even when we join things like, say, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, police service, prison service, or military intelligence, we have seen it before in every war in history. Every Auschwitz, and again now in Gaza, with people singing and dancing and celebrating war in Israel. Isn't that exactly what never again means that we shouldn't be doing? I think people are divided over what it is exactly, if it's the Holocaust or the atom bomb, what actually never again actually means. But it points to the actual cause of all the problems of the postmodern age, as it became known, a general term for the need to deconstruct the meta-narratives which caused 2 world wars due to the need to avoid a third. And this means that everybody needs to know how today's world evolved out of history. And we could say that all our problems come from people not being able to understand that. But what is the practicality of educating everybody? What we have ended up with, due to initial inability to put this information about, is a type of situation which is being managed through compartmentalized professionalism, one in which self-development programs have become part of political norms. So people need to be aware that they can also lead to brainwashing and cause rebellion in people who, instead of waking up to their full potential, wake up to how the world is not working for them, how it oppresses people, and dysfunction so much as to constitute a public health hazard. So they begin forming political organizations and taking action, and sooner or later find themselves blacklisted by their own government as they side with its enemies. This is what it says on the Monroe program. Restriction. The material contained herein is intended for the personal and private use only by those who have completed the first session of the Gateway program. The attempted application by others may result in undesirable and uncontrolled effects detrimental to any such unauthorized user. 1977, Monroe Institute of Applied Sciences, Box 57, Afton, Virginia. So people need to look for whether their program consists of the type of material, or is it just designed to brainwash people with no regard for the consequences? While the general trend in the use of these programs points to profitability, there is a clear and present danger. However, the shift to the more objective personal perspective is being facilitated by development programs within the system, even if it compartmentalizes people into different personality types, political persuasions, secular groups, ethnicities, and religiosity, each tailored specifically for different sections of society. It is still a good thing because it means that we're evolving and a new sense of order can come out of that. In the UK, organisations like CTEC and Maximus are very unethically running compulsory mentoring programs for unemployed citizens in the best way that they can, or they are denied basic living support and housing. Well, it could be said this is how we are managing the deep divides in geopolitics. It's also being used to separate people and force their development to go in a certain direction. So in the UK, for example, it's forcing them to accept the reality of the capitalist system and to sell themselves using their skill set and to develop ways of selling their labour, and discouraging, of course, a belief in a kind of radicalism or socialism or sort of any kind of alternative thing which is going to create more work for the employer or themselves. And so this is questionable, with governments then needing to approve of everybody's belief or behaviour. I don't know, this is very close to George Orwell, isn't it? Employees of these companies a one-way mirror technique to interview and are even allowed to interrogate clients for reasons why they do not have work. And they have also been incentivized with £50 to £250 bonuses if they get a so-called client back into work. So you can imagine what kind of stress and internal kind of political disputes this is creating. And not to mention people that are dissatisfied with the way that this system works, who've perhaps been sanctioned by the government or had health problems because of starvation or other factors. This is the same principle used by organisations and businesses who cherry pick the most talented candidates to be leaders, meaning they become the most capable of fueling the social divides as they build support for themselves and make money out of the whole operation, providing jobs and contracts for their allies, and of course closing the gaps in future development programs so others have to follow them in terms of learning what they believe is right. The only way we can really move forward is through acceptance of our differences, each group needing to realise how to get along with others while feeling comfortable with themselves. In the UK, Keir Starmer is currently being deposed for having insufficient self-development, seemingly for doing nothing about the general level of public safety, the national debt, the cost of living, and other important issues, while carrying on supplying arms to Israel and other war-making nations and helping out a few minority groups to get a bit of public support. Large parts of Birmingham, Britain's second largest city, look like a rubbish dump as its bankrupt council has refused to clear up the refuse workers' strike, with rats and foxes running wild in the streets and tearing apart the massive piles of rubbish which have accumulated around the city. I mean, isn't this problem what national governments have to do, or else look absolutely ridiculous and completely ineffective? Instead, he's carried on giving tax breaks to billionaires and banks while promising people a programme of national renewal and not delivering any results on actual issues that matter. And the result of this is that Labour lost 1,500 council seats to the Reform Party led by fascist Nigel Farage, and the far right are making further unwelcome advances on the centre ground, like the May 16th march in London funded by a billionaire who wants to unite the West and make it great again, just like in the United States. So really what we're looking at here is a kind of ICE deportation squad shooting civilians in the streets of Europe. And that's basically why it's unwelcome. I don't mind if people want to get together and talk about success and making themselves stronger and capable of success. But it's just when that's mixed with the idea that they need to launch attacks on other groups in order to become successful, then that's when society's going to have a problem with them. So in the US, Trump is saying that he saved the steel and manufacturing industries with tariffs while proposing that the Democrats, slur that he's made up for the Democrat Party, will destroy the US economy. In reality, he bombed a school in Iran, killing over 100 children. Well, calling news reporters nasty, piggy, disgusting, disgraceful, and terrible people who should be ashamed of themselves, just because journalists and the media in general have a different definition from him of what disgrace actually is. Notably for me, Iran did not bomb schools or churches in Israel in retaliation. Italian Prime Minister Meloni has exiled Israelis without visas over the genocide in Gaza, saying that she's also a woman and a mother, as well as a politician. So that's what I'm saying in this video, that the total world order situation is so fragmented and divided now that to go even near someone in a position of power, you have to be aware of what they are a part of, or you can completely get it wrong. But with confidence in yourself, you can analyze their parameters and create your own narrative out of it without necessarily having to know who their secret billionaire donors are. The problem I think people are experiencing is that we have a shared history on what we might call a left-wing global level, which we may regard as being more universal than our subjective histories, which represent the paths of our immediate people, which is what we might call the right-wing element, or the tribal level, like families, nations, and distant relatives have actually travelled, which are passed on through direct experience. So where there are two or more overlapping ideas from different social systems, people need to psychosynthesize, and that's where a lot of these programs help people to take elements from different transferable parts of their lives, like the society, their experience of technical things, and put them together and create a stronger mix of ideas and think about ways that these can be applied to different circumstances. So to develop the brain in terms of a thinking organ, which is capable of making decisions in different types of circumstances. This increases our range of operations, really, that we can go about in everyday life. So no more just working in the pub to get experience of different types of people, but we can actually map out the whole of society through from what we can see now on a video of footage of different people, like politicians speaking, military people, social ambassadors. We can synthesize the kind of ideas that they're using and build a picture of how our world actually works. So then we can work out how to make a better contribution. So this is why totalitarian systems like fascism, communism, and extreme forms of religion is dangerous, because they can teach people about the supremacy of one ideology over another, and they do not teach people about the world. Well, the world is learning about them. So the trick is to use the idea of how we can share our world in what we can regard as a center ground in which people's interests overlap, although we may also possess interests of our own, by seeing what level of synthesis we can achieve in terms of common interests and shared responsibilities. If you like this video, please say, I want to find out where today's numbers are broadcast from. Until next time.